40 billion naira. That's the staggering amount aviation agencies say they're being owed by airlines, but operators have berated the agencies over these debts. The operators under the aegis of the Airline Operators of Nigeria describe the debt as phantom and a ploy to ground the domestic airlines. Meanwhile, the Nigerian Airspace Management Agency says it's on a drive to ensure that its own share of the debt, about 8 billion naira, is collected, including that accrued to it following a Supreme Court judgment in its favor. But the agency says it's not willing to appear on air. How the parties involved will come to a decision that pays all is our focus. Plus, Ghana is now the new hub in the sub-region as it creates policies that accommodate airlines and aviation businesses, taking all that role away from Nigeria. Some cause for concern. Hello and welcome to Aviation This Week on Channels Television. I'm Bukola Joe Oketumbi.
Aviation plays a vital role in facilitating economic growth and offers numerous economic and social benefits. It provides the only rapid worldwide transportation network, effectively supporting global business and tourism. The Nigerian domestic aviation industry experienced a major decline in 2015 and 2016 with regards passenger traffic and number of international players leaving Africa's biggest market. Lending credence to the International Air Transport Association's projections that airlines in Africa were expected to be in the red in both 2015 and 2016 with losses of $300 million and $100 million respectively. The region's losses per passenger made its performance in 2015 worse than Latin America's. IATA added that political instability was impacting important tourism markets in North Africa. The continent's carriers in general suffer from weak economies and stiff competition on international markets. Growth is also weak, with a 0.4% capacity expansion in 2015, increasing to 1.6% in 2016. In Nigeria at the moment, the local players are faced with the need to clear debts owed to aviation agencies. The Nigerian Airspace Management Agency, NAMA, had recently announced Nigerian airlines were owing it over 8 billion naira in en route and navigational charges. The debt profile shows that between 2001 and 2013, domestic airlines were owing 3.8 billion naira for en route navigational charges, while from June 2014 to June 2016, it rose to 1.6 billion naira. Moribond Airlines' debt profile is put at 6.5 billion naira, while debt owed by oil companies, private and state governments is put at 1.5 billion naira. Because of this huge debt profile, NAMA is said to be incapacitated in paying its pensions to retired staff to the tune of 18 billion naira and servicing its facilities for seamless navigation. The agency added it wasn't a debt recovery drive as ordered by the federal government. Recently, Arik Air had its flight operations disrupted by authorities of the Federal Airport Authority of Nigeria over the issue of indebtedness. The airline operators of Nigeria have asked service providers to tread cautiously in its recent move to recover these debts in order not to run them out of business, as they have also run many airlines out of business in the past from ridiculous billing. Away from indebtedness, operators are also worried that Ghana is fast taking over as the aviation hub of West Africa, as the regional neighbor of Nigeria has developed policies that are encouraging aviation investors and airlines to come to the country where fuel is selling for about 110 naira. Reports say an international airline now picks up Nigerian passengers and takes them to Accra, where it refuels before heading back to its operational hub.
Our guest is the chairman of the Airline Operators of Nigeria, and he insists that while airlines are willing to pay their debts, the federal government must realize that these are critical times, and without airlines in business, there is no revenue for the agencies.
It's a fact that airlines are owing. It's a fact that there's no business you do that you don't borrow money. And for you to borrow money, as long as the debt is being serviced, we don't call it, or your loan is being serviced, we don't call it a bad debt. The issue that we have now on this debt issue that's coming out is that, as I've said many times, a lot of them are bogus numbers that have not really been sat down on the table between the airlines and the service providers. A lot of this debt that has been called forth or being pronounced, apart from being bogus and being, to me, I call it a fantasy or numbers being called from the air. We're having that, a big number, a big chunk of those numbers. I may even say 60 or 70%, because I've written to the service providers severally for them to furnish us and give us the list. You'll be finding that most of those airlines don't exist anymore. So the present airlines operating cannot pay the debts of the airlines that are not existing. You have airlines that have gone under like Okada, Savannah, Chajangi not operating, Oriental, Hack, the many others, gas, whole trade. Those debts are being summed up today as debt owned by the airlines, whereas majority of those debt owners, the harsh economic policies or the harsh policies being marshaled out by the service providers were one of the responsibilities, things responsible that made those airlines go down. And what we're trying to say is that let's talk on a table. What is your debt that we're owing? Let's agree. Bring out a template out. Let's agree on the template. We want to pay. We know you need we need to pay you for you to give us the service. But we're not just going to pay a number out of anywhere that we don't know the numbers. So we need to dialogue on the numbers, agree on the numbers, then we make a way, a road forward, a template out, then we start to pay the bills. And we'll pay gradually by God's grace. NAMA came out in about 2001. Even that was before I even started up my own airline. That they wanted the airlines to start paying en route navigation and terminal navigation, 2 bills. The airlines in 2001 said no, and they went to court. Because if you look at it anywhere in the world, local domestic carriers do not pay en route navigation. So it's en route like between here and Abuja. In 2001, most of the navigation equipment were not working. In 2001, the total radar coverage of Nigeria was not existing. In 2001, the Nigerian airlines were made mandatory to carry a GPS. That's a global position tracking system. So we had our own personal navigation equipment on board. There was really no reason to have to pay en route when we're providing the service ourselves. The ON then now took NAMA to court. We all sat down with Njeze, the Minister of Aviation then, who looked at both sides and says, you know what, which is in record today, both with NAMA and even in the Minister of Aviation in Abuja, to say the bills that were being charged or that were being asked to be paid should be waived. Those kind of hostility are one of the reasons that really caused most of those airlines to go out of business.